I've been here, but my glasses, you couldn't find Mr. or Mrs. Clifford if they walked by.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. Have you ever regretted the decision you made and wanted to recant or change your mind? Yeah, never. I've never done that. No. Yeah, who hasn't? But I'm sure we all have at one time or another. When we were kids, we crossed our fingers behind our back, and that, I promised, and what was it? Cross my heart, hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. But then we had our fingers crossed behind our back, so that canceled it out. Yeah. Yeah. You rain all it wants to. I never complain about the rain. Come in. I don't care when it is. We take it. What they say, Texas is the only state that welcomes a hurricane. Almost here, at least Central Texas. Yeah, yeah, they've had tornadoes. Yeah, it was bad down there. But when we were, like I said, after a night of Egypt's firstborn losing their lives, Pharaoh ordered the Israelites to leave the land immediately. Get out of here. So in the night, the Lord led Israel to take all they had, including their spoil, to Sukkoth. I guess I'm saying that right, Sukkoth. There the Lord gave further instructions through Moses regarding the Passover celebration and the concentration of all Israel's firstborn. The people traveled day and night, being led by a pillar of fire at night and a pillar of cloud during the day. Some say it's a column, but I don't really know. But it's what? Shade, yes. But the exact location of Sukkoth is not known. But I never thought of this. I read this and I'd never heard of it. But it said, but it's believed that where am I? It's believed that they stopped there to collect the Hebrews that worked in the silver and turquoise mines. I've never heard that. They were working, and I don't know how far Sukkoth was from when they left Egypt, but like I said, I'd never heard that. That's one of the commentaries I was looking at, and it makes sense. Not all of them was what we hear made clay, made brick. I don't think. In fact, I'm jumping way ahead. I think that some of them were in the military when they went to battle. When they were out in the I forget what is it, who was against. Uh, Yeah, scripted, but was it Caleb or Aaron led them? I'm not Aaron, but Joshua and Caleb led them the army, so knew what they were doing. So I don't know. We just a lot of assuming. That's right. They weren't throwing bricks. Yeah. Yes. But the Lord led Israel, like I said, in Butch. I'm getting ahead. Read 13. That's just right there close. Chapter 13, 17. Yeah, and I've got a few.
Exodus 13:17.
Yeah.
It came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go that God led them not through the way of the land of Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest peradventure the people repent when they see war and they return to Egypt.
Yeah, we talked about that later. A straight trip would, like I said, taken about a week and a half. But God knew that they would probably turn around and go back. The first time they got into a little mess or everything, well, we need to go back. And but note there, like in verse 19 of chapter 13, let's see if I got that. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will surely take care of you, and you shall carry my bones from here with you. That's over what? How many years between Joseph's death and the time they left Egypt? 400 years? What is it? It's close to it. So anyway, they preserve his bones. The Egyptians are to preserving body, and evidently they preserved Joseph's bones, and because that was requested, his bones would be taken back. But but after fleeing Israel, Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he reneged on his promise. Or he said, get out of here. I don't want to see you anymore. But God spoke to Moses and told him to backtrack. In other words, and Pharaoh will think the people are lost and wandering aimlessly. You know, we can't outsmart God. He said, backtrack, and Pharaoh's going to think, well, they don't know where they're going. They're lost. But he forgot that Moses spent 40 years out there. And he said, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and I will be honored and will be honored by him through all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. You know, I think by now they should have known that of the plagues and all this, but the Bible attributes this stubbornness to Pharaoh's own choices. Each person is responsible for his or own separate individual reactions. Some express well, some says God hardened his heart, Pharaoh hardened his heart. It's still Pharaoh's choice. Yes. Yeah, and maybe God may have put circumstances in front of him or in front of us, but it's our choice. Yeah, it's our decision. No. But God may allow the circumstances, but we make the choice. Pharaoh and his servants realized they'd messed up. You know, I'm sure they're complaining, you know what, we don't have anybody any longer here to work for us. What did we do? Now we're going to have to work ourselves. It said, so Pharaoh gathered up all his army, his horses, the chariots, went in pursuit after the sons of Israel. What happened then? They probably saw the Israelites probably saw the dust of the Egyptians' army coming and exclaimed, woe is me. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. You know, yeah. God brought us out here in the desert to kill us. For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness. You know how soon we complain and carry on, but have you ever had a relative or a friend that was a habitual complainer? I think we all have. If you don't, you're the one. What, Butch?
I was going to say, if you don't, you're the one.
You're the one, yeah. Yeah. But it got to the point that we hated to be around them, especially around Christmas and New Year's and all that, and everybody around. Is she tapping her on the shoulder?
I was being thank God that we have one in our family.
Yeah. We've got a complainer about everything. Yeah, I've got a son-in-law, love him to death, but he worked at the prison there in Gatesville. Don't get him started on the prison. Hattie, I mean, JC can probably understand, you know, Hattie worked there for years. But when was it come out the other day? It wasn't yesterday, it was the other day. Linda came out and brought something up about the prison. I said, oh, gosh. 30 minutes later, he's still. And I told her, I said, don't dare bring up the prison. You know, yesterday, I said, don't you dare bring it up. But anyway, but we complain. We all complain. But you know, if we have probably all heard the saying, they would complain if they were hanged with a new rope. We've heard that. Every time the Israelites were faced with seemingly impossible situation, they started complaining. Like I said, woe is me. But remember, like I said, the hee-haw song, like I brought it up, you know, gloom, despair, and agony on me. You know, I brought that up. But rather than arguing the point, Moses turned to God for help and challenged the people not to fear. In his grace, God placed himself between his people and their enemies. God then said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the sons of Israel to go forward. Does God get put out with us every once in a while? I think he does. I think God was getting put out here. You know, why are you coming to me complaining? Go to the people. Go to the people. And can't you just hear some of these complainers? Pharaoh's army is behind us. The sea is in front of us. Now, God, where would you like for us to go? That would be our attitude, really. I mean, here's this sea. Here's the army behind us. And said, well, just where would you like for me to go? You said you'd be with us.
After they go through, how quickly
Quickly they forget. Well, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we forget.
It didn't take long after that before they started
Complaining again.
That's like a human parent with their children.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. But their memories are short. Yes, Molly.
If James Lynn was sitting here and still alive, his saying was, don't say I love him to death. I love him forever. He said it's like a death sentence.
Yeah, right. Well, God loved these to death. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said God loved these to death. Eventually, but their memories are short. You know, remember God says, "With God, nothing is impossible with Him." In Luke 1:37. Even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, there's always hope. And you know, I think that's something we kind of lose track of sometimes. When we're faced with a seemingly insurmountable challenges, we know there's always hope. Then God ordered Moses to lift his staff and reach out over the sea, and as the sons of Israel will cross to the other side on dry land. Let's look at go to our lesson text now. Someone read Exodus 14:19 through 22.
Then the angel of God, who was going in front of the Israelite forces, moved and went behind them. The pillar of cloud moved from in front of them and stood behind them. It came between the Egyptians and the Israelite forces. There was a cloud and darkness. It lit up the night, and neither group came near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. The Lord drove the sea back with a powerful east wind all that night and turned the sea into dry land. So the waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with the waters like a wall to them on their right and their left.
Oh, how quickly they forget.
How quickly they forget.
Imagine that though.
Yeah.
Going through the ocean.
Mm.
I'm just thinking how much the movie Ten Commandments is stuck in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always wondered if they could see any fish in the water.
Yeah. Some of them had their rod and reels with them, I guess. Yeah.
Or how high the walls were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
The dry ground.
Yeah. But it was started all night. That wind was blew all night. And Moses' first encounter with the angel of the Lord was at Mount Horeb in the burning bush. Later, the angel of the Lord was associated with the destroyer who killed Egypt's firstborn sons. Likewise, the angel of God can be equated to the manifestation of God's presence and power. God sent both a specially commissioned angel and the pillar of cloud. If you read the books, if you got that open, Exodus 13:21 through 22. But he sent his cloud as a barrier between Israel and the pursuing Egyptian army.
Okay.
21 through 20.
And the Lord went before them day in a pillar of cloud to lead them the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and night. He took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people.
Okay, when I read it, he switched. He put that pillar of cloud between the Israelites and the Egyptian army. Yeah, a fog or whatever it was. You know, we had some pretty dense fog the other day, but it was. I think it was just pitch black. Well, I'm thinking here, and I think I don't know if he put it in front of them or if they were in it. I don't know. I don't really, but they couldn't advance, and you know, of course, you know, any. You know, there's no use trying to advance here. Could be setting ducks and all this. So they use their military strategy, so to speak, to yes.
I saw when I was in the Navy, we all
Mhm.
had one firefight. And they showed, and we actually saw it actually.
Mhm.
Fire was dripping, it was like an oil fire.
Yeah.
Dripping down from the overhead. And when it hit the deck, it went out like this.
Mhm.
And then it went out this way.
Yeah.
So that could have created a barrier.
Mhm.
I wanted it to go. I
Yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah, that remind me. We made a quick trip out to West Texas, and it's the first one I've seen in a long time. One of the oil wells are burning the natural gas off on it, and it's so I don't know why it's so cheap, because we got a gas well, but that's why.
It used to be really common to see them up in the distance.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't see as many as
No, not as many. No, you don't.
because our government is fighting for other countries and got in the process.
Yeah. But how many times, let me back up. But God protected Israel from the Egyptian attack until a way was made through the Red Sea. How many times has God, without us even knowing it, placed a protective barrier from the attacks of our unseen enemies? Many times God has placed a barrier and we didn't even know it. We didn't realize it. Maybe looking back, we say, well, gosh, God did place a barrier there. We may not know what it would be like if the Lord pulled back his protection. There's no telling how many times he placed that protection from us, and how many times, what would have happened if he'd have pulled back his protection from us. We read in Hosea 2:6 where God placed a hedge of thorns to protect Hosea's wife Gomer from her adulterous life. Some say, well, that's just a myth, that's just a story, but no. And I always kind of sympathize with Hosea. I say, what? You want me to marry a prostitute? And yeah, what? Yeah. Hosea's, Gomer. Not Gomer Paul. About the same mentality, I think. Yeah. But he placed a hedge of thorns. But unfortunately, she found a way through. And sometimes God will place barriers and protections around us, and then we dig under it or find a way over it. And But the pillar was a source of darkness to the Egyptians, but a source of light to Israel. This is a vivid picture, really, of how the glory of God or the work of God can be light to one person, yet even dark to another. I never really thought about that. There can be a source from God that can be light to some, but can be a source of dark to others. That I would say confusion.
I had to break a hip so I could see the light.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a shame to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. Sometimes I say God just, sometimes just taps us on the shoulder, and sometimes has to knock us down. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, yes. Verse 20 states that neither came near the other all night. We really don't know how the cloud separated the two groups, but God did it. That's all we need to know. We really don't know how David killed the giant with one stone, but it happened. God did it. The point is the Egyptians were stopped in their tracks. The Lord swept the sea back by a strong east wind all night and turned the sea into dry land. There's some say that there is, and it's not theory, it's actually that the east winds that go over there can reach up to 100 miles an hour.
Think about an eastern wind would be blowing right in the Egyptian face.
Yeah, right. But to separate that, and it what? Flat land. Yeah. And other winds from other directions is not near that, but an east wind said I didn't know it can come over 100 miles an hour. That's a lot of wind. That's hurricane force. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But there's been many theories, how the wind parted the sea. No one really knows, and really what location it was at. Some say the people crossed dry land. The water was about 10 inches deep. In the meads. Yeah, 10 inches. Well, I heard an old preacher said, well, that was even a greater miracle than them crossing. That said, how did God drown all them Egyptians in the knee-deep water? We get all kinds of theories. Some say it's all a myth. Some say they can, like I said, this 100-mile-an-hour wind. It blew all night. It held the waters back.
Well, the Sinai side,
Mm-hmm.
there is Solomon erected a pillar,
Mm-hmm.
signifying where they crossed.
Yeah.
And where they were, there was this wadi, which is a big gully.
Mm-hmm.
Came down, and there was a large, like a delta of sand.
Yeah.
And there was like a bridge that goes underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's flat.
Yeah.
But it goes right and goes straight across.
Yeah.
So that could have been.
Could have been.
They're finding something.
Yeah.
So we kind of have an idea where.
Right. Well, and some of them, I say they call it the Sea of Reeds. You know, that's where I guess some of them get the water was shallow. I don't know, but you know, yeah, right,
There were soldiers, chariots, they're on the bottom.
yeah.
There's a documentary about that.
Mm-hmm. Why was Moses' staff used as an instrument to part the sea in the dry land? There was no power in the staff, but was used to symbolize the power of God. It was used to turn into a snake. It was used to strike a rock. Now, you just struck a rock one too many times. Yeah. But the staff became a symbol of God's presence and a visual representation of the faith Moses had in his calling. You know, like I said, it had no power. And it's just like, you know, when they are water and that water was bitter, and we'll look later in the lessons that God said, throw this wood or stick in there, and it became pure. There was no power in that. It was all came from the power of God. How long did it take? I've wondered how long did it take the Israelites to cross? You know, there was over close to 2 million. And you know, I don't believe it was just a narrow path, say 100 feet wide. To get all them people across, it had to be wide enough to quickly get over these 1.5 or 2 million people, and all the children and everything that they were carrying with them. You know, I like the point of my Explore the Bible commentary, which makes this passage demonstrates the truth that God often makes a way for His people, not around, but rather through our challenges and difficulties. I like that. There may be times, may God give us a way around, but there's other times He gives us a path that we take that's straight through them difficulties. You know, I thought that was something that He gives us a path to go straight through. It's like He gave them a path to go straight through, not a way around. But God expressed this truth through His prophet Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. If you got that real quick, Butch, if you would, I'll go on. But Isaiah 43, 1 and 2. I should have given these to you before reading it tonight. But the truth is not a blanket promise that God's people will never suffer. Yeah. You'd win a Bible drill.
And he didn't give it to me. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not. For I have redeemed thee, I call thee by thy name, thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee.
Well, what a promise.
Yeah.
What a promise. And that we can claim that too. When we walk through the waters or through the fire, God will be with us. Never, yes, the furnace. Yes. Yes. I don't know.
They don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't know their God.
Right.
They don't listen because they never knew it. I mean, okay, losing parents, losing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything you go through, how do you manage?
I know. I don't know. It's a mystery to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I don't either. And like I said, this truth is like it's not a blanket promise. I mean, Christ is our greatest example. Look what He went through, and you know what's the song? I never promised you a rose garden. That song. But God will be with you. Yes.
Okay, when my brothers were eventually dying,
Mhm.
he had wildlife.
Mhm.
And my mother looked at me and said, "You want a tranquilizer?" I said, "No, ma'am,
Mhm.
my tranquilizer."
Mm-hmm. We had when Aaron was in the hospital, passed away. There was a lady chaplain. We had to console her. I mean, sad. She was about to lose it. And
I understand
mm-hmm.
you had to console other people at the viewing.
Yeah.
We stood at the viewing for 2 hours, and my brother looked at me and he goes, "I don't know how you just did that."
Yeah.
There's a lot of hurt people.
Yeah.
Just try to help them.
Right.
You know, my mother was given, when David died, the first one, just mentioning it. And she was given the Christmas presents away because she says, I'm gonna die. She didn't die until about 97.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone read verses 23 through 28.
And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass when you come.
23 through 28.
Am I off again?
Yeah.
Exodus 14.
Exodus 14.
Oh, someone else did. I'm on the wrong.
Okay. All right.
Brain is gone.
The Egyptians pursued them, and all Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. And the Egyptians said, "Let's get away from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots, horsemen. The entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea, not one of them survived.
You think by this time some of the Egyptians had seen enough to want to refuse to enter the dry sea? I ain't going.
I wonder if their TRADOC division incorporated groundproofing.
Yeah. You know, after all, Israel's God had done. After all they'd done, they think. Don't you think it's a trick to lure us into the sea? Yeah. But following orders, they entered the dry sea bed in pursuit of the Israelites. You know, if you saw the movie The Ten Commandments, I believe that Charlton Heston, I believe they got the part right that all the people were safely across the other side before the Egyptian army entered the seabed. They may have followed them in, but I think they were all pretty much across, because when all the Egyptian army got there in the morning, it says the morning watch would stretch from about 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So this is when the Israelites crossed the sea, and the pillar protected them. In other words, I think he held them back until everyone was safely across. Yeah.
And it had to be, the length of the wall of water had to be very big and huge.
Oh, real wide too.
Because all the army had to be in there.
Yeah.
We're close, or somebody would-
Because they didn't go single file. They didn't.
Some of y'all have seen low water crossings when it rains.
Yeah.
And just a few inches can make a difference.
Oh yeah.
It'll wipe you. Very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The chariots start having problems.
Right. But when the crossing was complete, God moved from guarding Israel's rear, but wasn't done watching over his people. This is in verse 24b of the I read from the New American Standard. It reads, "The Lord looked down on the army of the Egyptians through the cloud and brought confusion upon him." I note here it doesn't require God to possess any physical human characteristics. Instead, it plays upon his position in the massive cloud that was blocking the Egyptians. God, he's not somewhere in space sitting on a throne observing what's going on. He is omnipresent, meaning he is all present in all places at all times. So God he looked upon him and saw. That's for us to try to understand. It blows our mind. Yes. Yes. Okay, what's that? I think is something. Is everybody on? I forget what that. I just remember that phrase, but I forget what it pertains to. But it may be some of the games we played. Like it made me think it like the old, what's it? Not a Ferris wheel, that wheel that turned around, merry-go-round. Yeah, is everybody on? Not me. He didn't require, like I said, he didn't require God to look down from heaven or look down from his throne. Like I said, God is omnipresent. When the Egyptians renewed their pursuit of Israel, they foolishly assumed the pathway through the sea, believing the sea would remain open. Then the Lord brought the army into a state of confusion. The chariot wheels began to fall apart. The wheels fell off. I wonder if this was where the phrase comes from, the wheels fell off. Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, the Cowboys. How many times we watched them and the wheels fell off? There was first a state of confusion, then the wheels fell off. But the phrase, like I said, has been used for many times. It can be used for several times. You know, we get confused and all this, and finally said our wheels fell off. But it said some began to wobble. I don't know if you ever remember, it had an old wagon or something. You get on it, and the axles wore out, and the wheels just wobbled. We'd always ride down the hill, and that wheel's just wobbling everywhere, and not being able to really control it. Well, some of these the chariots, their wheels didn't come off, but I think probably the axle wore something, but the wheels were just wobbling. They couldn't control them. They couldn't steer them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But there was mass confusion. Some finally realized they were not facing mere man, but the God of Israel, and began to run for their lives. But it was too late. When all of Israel was safely on the opposite side of the sea and the Egyptian army was trapped in the bottom of the sea, God told Moses to stretch out your hand over the sea. Then the sea returned to its normal state at daybreak. The entire Egyptian army, the foot soldiers, their mounts, their chariots, their horses, drowned in the depths. Everything.
Somebody said, "Are we there yet?"
Yeah, are we there yet? Yes. Right. So I'm going to read now verse 29 through 31.
I got the right.
Got it. Okay.
But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the sea shore. And Israel saw that the great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses.
Mm-hmm. Verse 29 is it? What? For a little bit, yes. Verse 29 is a virtual restatement of verse 22. Seeing the walls of water on each side of the people as they traveled through the dry seabed must have been, it's an awesome sight. I'm sure it was probably a little frightful. I mean, looking on each side of you and seeing a great wall of water, thinking that any second the walls could come crashing down. How many times have we been through that and the walls are protecting us, and we think, when is it going to come crashing down? Or is it going to come crashing down? Is God going to be with me through this? By holding the water back, God provided the people a way of escape. No matter our situation, trials or troubles we may encounter, God will provide us a way of escape. Always. He will provide us a way of escape, a way out, if we just take it.
I always believe God is with me, but I always pray that his will be not harsh.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Yes. Right. Be easy. Yeah.
I just look back at where he's taken me so far.
Yeah. And really, like I said, how many walls of protection has he put around us that we don't even know, realize? Yeah. Right.
But you know what? I've also come to realize, and I'm not just saying this flippantly,
Mm-hmm.
That even if I die physically, he's
Mm-hmm.
delivering me.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. And like I said, he provides us a way out, but we've got to take that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, it was, looking back to it, this wasn't a very pretty picture to see the bodies of the Egyptian army lining the seashore. Free armor. Yeah, free armor. But the corpse of Pharaoh's army that littered the seashore, as well, no doubt, the wreckage of the Egyptian chariots and horses, proved both the Lord's power and that the Egyptians would no longer threaten the Israelites. Never again. When the Israelites saw the great power that the Lord used against the Egyptians, They gave the only appropriate response. They feared the Lord. Now, the word fear can have several meanings. To be afraid or fear. I watched you, my daddy. I feared him. I wasn't afraid of him, but I feared him. It's reverential fear. It's the same with God. We not to be afraid of God, but we fear him, and this was their fear. They revered him. The word, like I said, the people also believed in him and his servant Moses. About time, wasn't it? Yes. This belief is characterized by trust and loyalty, which are demonstrated by obedience and commitment to the Lord. Just as God's deliverance of the Israelites was through his power and grace, so too the salvation that Jesus brings to those who repent of their sins and put their faith in him as their Savior and Lord is a gift of grace. We can say that the deliverance of the Passover and the miracle of the Red Sea go together. If not for the victory won at the Red Sea, the redemption at the Passover would have meant nothing. But they would have never made it to the Red Sea without the miracle of God's redemption at the Passover. In the same way, the redemption of the cross would mean nothing without the miracle of the resurrection. The two works of deliverance must go hand in hand. Any comments? We got a few minutes.
Came to me when
Mhm.
we talked earlier about the Lord will never leave us or forsake us.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
He's the only one
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Yeah.
And he took that last out for safety.
Right.
In that moment, the only one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was ready too. Like I said, they were ready to call 10,000 angels. They were ready.
You know, I was, continue to kind of finish his story. I was watching one channel and it was telling how the harsh nails,
Mm-hmm.
the beating, and even how he was hanging on the cross and how they tried to,
Mm-hmm.
get more air in their lungs.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they were situated, very hard, very cruel.
Mm-hmm.
Very scientific.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've got two. Well, one of them inherited from James, but the Passion of Christ. I can't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just can't.
Mhm.
To know.
Well.
It's hard to think. You're beaten so much that your back, your bones are showing.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was nearly dead by the time he got to the cross. Mm-hmm.
He endured the pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything.
Mm-hmm. But there's so many in this passage here, these that are life messages. I mean, that can relate to us, to all of us. How even go back to the Passover, how he passed over and saved their lives, how he kept it. Mm-hmm. Sure, it happened. Right.
Really for us today, hey, that's the Old Testament. Well, it's really spiritual truth.
Sure, spiritual truth.
We're going to walk through a very serious situation.
Yeah.
I also like how you brought out what I also think about why not worse, what could have happened. I can almost work myself into panic attack.
Sure.
Like just getting on an airplane is an act of faith when you see
Right.
that one. Would that one go down this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and I just well, I
Yeah.
why did mine go down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do walk through that dry valley. We can see
Mhm.
those walls.
Yeah.
Because it lets us know that ultimate
Mhm.
protection.
Yeah. JC said, I think of the story I'm about to tell. About Fred Sanford was fixing to fly for the first time, and there he was, had a Star of David and a cross and all around his neck. Lamont says, what are you doing wearing all that stuff? He said, well, down here I'm a Baptist, but up there I ain't taking any chances.
Charles Heston, they made him on the street. Hello, Moses. They didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
related him to the
Mm-hmm.
Ten Commandments.
Yeah. Any other comments we got?
Well, I think we're not any different than they were.
No. Like I said, so many life lessons for us in here.
So that's why it applies to us today.
Mm-hmm.
We don't change.
Yeah.
I call it history repeated.
God places a pillar of clouds between us and danger at times. There's times that he keeps that wall from crushing in on us. And
Like
and-
hey, sometimes you think you're on the heaven, that hey, we're going to paradise.
yeah,
That's our hope.
yeah. Mhm.
It's really a win-win situation. Yep.
Sure. Yeah, it is.
I can tell you a story about being protected.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a police officer, I was responding to a call to the car wash, possible narcotics. And I arrive on the scene, I find the car, and I make an approach to the car, and I start talking to the subject, and one thing led to the other, and I said, do you have anything on you
Mm-hmm.
that is going to harm me? Can I search you? No, but you can search my car.
Mm-hmm.
And several times I asked him, is there anything on you
Mm-hmm.
that can harm me? No, but you can search my car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he eventually gave me consent to search his body, and he had a gun on him.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to search the car first,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It is. Yep, the hand of God. Yeah. I was
Even when we stray away, God still watches over us.
I was traveling. Well, I was working out in West Texas, and I was on Interstate 20, and this car was pulled off. You can see they had a flat, and there was a lady, not an elderly lady, but she wasn't young either, but kind of flagging me down. So I pulled up and had a flat, and but here I was down on my knees changing that tire, and here this guy gets out of the back seat of the car, and you're startled. For one thing, she said, "Oh, that's my husband. Said he's had an open heart surgery and he can't do anything." So breathed a sigh of relief. That he couldn't change it.
There is
And-
something I regret.
Mhm.
When I was single and back, well, anyway, I thought, okay, I'm going to drive for a little bit. Coming back at Dobyville, there was this red car, a woman and a baby, and she just walking back and forth. And I don't know why I didn't stop at the patrolman, we just inside of Pasco County, tell her that that person, I don't know.
Mm.
And then I could picture her husband laying there with a gun or something,
Mhm.
And
Never know.
I never informed him about getting after her. Somebody with a badge.
Yeah.
I picked up a woman one time, it was like 100+ degrees, and she was walking down the road staggering, she had a couple little kids with her, and I pulled over and put her in the car, she sat in the front seat with me, and put her two kids in the back, and she was pushing a stroller, and we no more got on the road, and she pulled out a gun and laid on her lap, and said, "This is so you don't do anything to me. God, take care of me, please."
Yes.
She didn't do anything, but
Yeah. Never know.
Woman on her own. Yeah. Gives them up.
Mm-hmm.
so nowadays, especially.
Yeah.
I picked up a drunk Mexican one time. It was 110. I was going down Ocala Road, and he was staggering all over the place, and there was a car in the ditch, and I thought he'd got too hot. And I said, "Well, I'll take you back to Kentner to my husband and my father-in-law." And I did, but he was drunk, and he smelled bad.
Mm.
Larry and Papa chewed me out. I never picked anybody else up again.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Was this after the woman with the gun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I was such an empathetic heart. I cared so much about other people.
Mhm.
You've heard that old saying when you stop pick up the hitchhiker and he looks at you and he goes, "What do you think the chances are you picked up a mass murderer?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you look back at him and you say probably zero because two of us being in the same location isn't going to work.
Actually, I have a gun,
Mm-hmm.
and I told that woman, I said, I also have one in the car.
Mhm.
But still, between those two, I got such a freaking out and threatening, and it made me think what they were right. I don't think I would have picked the lady up if it wasn't for the
I got you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got another story, but we better go. Brother Sean, would you close for us, please?
Gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you once again, Lord, for the story that we've seen, the parting of the Red Sea, Lord, how awesome it must have been to experience that, at least on the Israelite side anyway. your mercy and your power, you protect us no matter what we do, no matter how much we turn against you, you're willing to forgive us if we can just call upon you, Lord. Just pray that you allow this lesson that we learned to radiate through our lives this week, Lord, and protect us as we need it. In Jesus' precious name I pray.